Hello, everyone. It's very nice meeting you, and thank you very much for having me today. I created my title, Indonesian Media Art, Histories, Alternative Infrastructures, and Inclusive Learning Models, because I like to talk about my personal practices as a curator and educator in the context of Indonesian media art. And also, I want to highlight the important roles of artists, collectives, and communities when they started the media arts development like quite long time ago. Hold on. Hold on. I'm not so familiar. How can I move to the next slide? Like here. No? Already. Okay. Oh, thank you. So over the past 30 years, Indonesian media art has captured the attention of local and international audiences through many different types of curatorial approaches, such as exhibitions in the gallery space and museums, and also hybrid festivals, laboratory experiments, and public projects, and digital database and online curation. And it has gained a greater public visibility and recognition in the art world through diverse curatorial and thematic approaches, which tries to reflect the various concerns of current society, encompassing social, political, technological issues. According to Gustav Iskandar, he is the founder of Common Room in Bandung in 2006. Discussions about media arts in Indonesia emerged in mid-1990s. It was driven by the rise of digital technology and especially the internet, which influenced not only the arts but also social and political spheres. And he mapped the development of media art practices between 1990s until mid-2000s. And Iskandar notes that the traditional Indonesian media form, such as wayang puppet or the shadow puppetry, have long been part of the communication method and provided a framework for understanding modern media arts. On the other hand, Agung Huzanika in 2020, he is a very influential curator and also scholar, argues that the history of media art in Indonesia should be based on a more in-depth exploration of the historical and cultural foundations of media. And then in one presentation that I attended, he traces the origins of media art as far back as 1937 when Javanese princess Gusti Nurul performed a traditional dance at a royal wedding in the Netherlands. And this performance was accompanied by live gamelan music broadcasts in the real time from Indonesia. And there is some reasons why they couldn't bring the gamelan instruments to Netherlands, but has to broadcast because it was considered to be very sacred for royal family. And while these two perspectives offer different historical approaches, it is generally agreed by the Indonesian artists and scholars that Krishnamurti in 1990s marks the beginning of media art, Indonesian media art movement. He utilized the video as the artistic medium in order to critique the ideological influence of the one-way media technology such as radio or television. And then he believed that this radio or television, the one-way system is manipulating the public's perceptions during the President Suharto's 31-year military dictatorship. Meanwhile, we have another pioneer named Heri Dono from Yogyakarta. He explored the concept of interactivity between art and audience. And he created many kinetic installations, repurposed second-hand electrical components, and through his installation, he questions the role of technology with the local context. While simultaneously highlighting its ties to Indonesian tradition and culture. So undoubtedly, the video art of Krishnamurti and the interactive kinetic installations of Haridono paved the way for younger generations to experiment with more advanced technology in their creative process. So after the collapse of Suharto's regime in 1998, when there was a economic crisis in Asia, freedom of expression opened the door for more experimental and critical art through new artistic forms. But with the lack of government support, artists also build their own infrastructure by themselves, just like the way DIY works. And their collective practice is not just about solidarity among the members, but also a strategy for their survival. Earlier groups include HOMF in Yogyakarta, established in 1999, Ruang Rupa in Jakarta, established in 2000, and Bandung Center for New Media Arts in Bandung in 2001. And these emerging artists grew up with various digital tools, such as computers, and recognized the potential of digital technology in their artistic endeavors. So although their subject matter or the way they utilize the medium is very different from each other, they share the common goal of integrating art with science and technology in order to explore the way technological development has transformed our daily life. These are some posters of those artist groups. For example, the first one, OK Dot. This is OK Video Festival, initiated by Ruang Rupa, and then it has changed its name in 2015 as OK Video Indonesia Media Art Festival. And then HOMF, they also initiated the Video World Festival, which was an international event in 2005, and they also developed the festival called Sales Button, more focusing on not just the focus on the media, video as a medium, but more wider technologies. And also the Bandung Center for Media Arts, they initiated their festival called New Substance, and then it lasted about 6 years. Besides these three aforementioned artist groups, there are many other artist initiatives that concern a dramatic transformation of Indonesian society caused by technological advancements, such as Ruang Mes 56 in Yogyakarta, focusing on photography and contemporary art, Forum Lenteng in Jakarta, they are concentrating on documentary, film, video, and performance, and Video Lab from Bandung. They are more paying attention to video art experimentation. Despite the valuable contributions of these pioneering artist collectives, these important festivals have ceased operations, leaving a gap in the cultural landscape. From my perspective, this discontinuation is not only the bad thing. It's not only about unstable funding, but I think that they also recognize and responded to the evolving needs of society. So they try to do something new because that is more needed for the society. And for example, Edwin Jurin, the scholar from Australia, notes that these artist collectives primarily focus on exploring social aspects of urban life, but some of them now more pay attention to rural and they're working with the village people. And then late 2010, the landscape evolved more dynamic, where I began to take part in Indonesia. And there were newer festivals called Sumonar, focusing on video mapping and light installations, and also there were independent curators. They began to bring very interesting artworks and perspectives to the local. And government begins to recognize the importance of art and technology. So government started to initiate their own festival, which is in the middle. And also a very recent one, we have Jakarta Light Festival, like in 2023. And then Surabaya, the eastern part of Java Island, there is a group of artists who started sound art. So it's more diverse and more activities going on. So I draw like brief map of timeline, which is still ongoing. And then I kind of divided into four to draw the characteristic of each decade. So during the 1990s, media art was part of curatorial narratives that aimed to introduce experimental artistic practices through installation, performance art, moving images. So they didn't really call their events as a media art events, but I can see that what they have done actually influenced a lot to the media artists later on. But the main purpose was like responding to or reaction to the traditional media, like paintings and sculptures. And then in the 2000s, media-specific festival, as I said, like a video festivals or like a video art festival, which often criticize the one-way communication. And then late 2000 to early 2010, this media art project attempted to greater focus on like social, cultural, and political issues, more like a very compressing issues in our society. And then also in terms of the medium, it's more diverse, new and extended forms of media. And also we can see the intersection between art, technology, and science as well. And then since the mid-2010, media art has taken more specialized, diverse, and inclusive approach, which I'm keep emphasizing about the inclusive approach and addressing global issues such as like big data, ecology, space exploration, post-human, etc. To feel, however, let me show you this map again. So I also traces which city that these projects were held, and then mainly like main cities, few main cities in Java Island, like Jakarta, Bandung, where Mr. Eldwin and I came from, or Yogyakarta. But actually Indonesia is a very big country, and there are so many other like cities across Indonesia. But there weren't many opportunities for the people who live outside of Java Island to appreciate the art or even create the art. So to fill this gap, the Indonesian government has taken steps to foster inclusivity in media art programs across nations by organizing Media Art Community Festival. The festival started in 2015 in Bandung for 2 years. After that, it has been like going around. For example, like Pekanbaru 2017, Pekanbaru in Sumatra, and then Palu, Sulawesi, Samarinda, Kalimantan, Bengkulu, Sumatra, and then Lombok and Tebe. And the last year was Makassar, Sulawesi. And I drew the map of where FKSM has been going around, because mostly the media art projects, it also quite related to the city it hosts. And then the artist likes to also talk about the city as a whole. But this festival was quite different model. I was very lucky to take part in this program as a co-curator for 3 consecutive years, 2019, 2022, and 2023 with my Art Collabs team. And then the festival displays the media art that celebrates Indonesia's diverse ethnic knowledge, or we call it like local wisdoms, by highlighting like untold stories from the artist's place of origin. The artists are not only specifically from that city, but of course many artists from like Sumatra, they are invited, but also we invited artists from other part of Indonesia, so there were chance for them to mingle together. And also this program supports an educational experience of tangible and intangible heritage through media art. And this is a video clip, very short video clip. So in 2023, the first video was 2022 and 2003. This program was held in Lombok, West Nusa Tenggara, with the theme of land or terra as the main concept, and the artists were encouraged to explore the relationship between the human and our environment. Okay, let me move to. But one thing maybe I can talk is, so it's a festival, very festive, which is the very culture of Indonesian people. Very happy, and then we try to embrace everyone who can come and play together. And also there is a education program before the festival begins, and then we invited artists who can also give a lot of workshops so that they can learn at least what media art is. And then besides this community festival, Art Collabs itself has been focusing on three main curatorial approaches for the past 10 years. The first is about curating various themes and aesthetics. The second is about the media art across disciplines, and also a new audience role in participation and interactivity. So for example, some of the themes that we explored among many are like big data, nomadism, ecopolitics, and post-human, and so forth. And one of project, it's about the idea of data. And in fact, as AI is transforming our world right now, this exhibition can be a good start to think of our dual role. We as a data producer and also a data consumer. And our AI-driven future can be very much affected by the data we are producing right now. It was held in 2016. And then some works, it's the data from photosynthesis process, which has been visualized and also turn it into audio, sound. And then the Korean artist Myun, they use the real-time stock market data to show these digital landscapes. These trees grows and dies depending on the currency, which currency is strong at this time. And then the Angelica Das, the human skin color as a data as well. And then actually Pantone color, if you see Pantone color, none of us have the same color, skin color. And then this is another project that we did. It's more focusing on interdisciplinary practice and collaboration. We had 5 women curators. And then each curator has a different expertise, so it's not just a curator, but curator educator, curator art manager, curator artist, so curator scientist. We invited each artist and we proposed one idea, and we study, we pair with the artist and we study in depth about their own concept. And then this is the view, and I can show you some images. So the Korean artists, there is a light installations that's it's connected to our brainwave. So we have to focus while we are appreciating the art, and the color changes. And also there is a bio art, wearable technologies, a digital narrative through what? Oh, VR. VR, thank you. And then the last point we focus on was we always try to consider the important roles of the audience. And then, this is dialogue with the senses. And then this exhibition, because many exhibitions or projects in Indonesia focus on sight as our main sense, but we wanted to also tell the people that the arts can be appreciated by our multi-sensor. Okay, so there is a candle. The artist created the candles, which can stimulate our memory. So you enter the gallery space, there is no artwork, but then there is a smell of soto ayam, which is a Indonesian traditional chicken soup. Oh, because he wants to make the people remember their memories about when they smell chicken like chicken soup, something like that. And then the sound are the water of bowl connected to gamelan instrument. Gamelan is the musical instrument that consists of many different elements inside, which produce different sound. And then each bowl of water connected to each element. And when people touch the water, then the gamelan sound keluar, or come out. And then when people like play with the water all together, then they can like orchestrate the music of gamelan. So it's about, yeah. And then the last thing that I want to share today is art collapse and its non-formal curator education, because despite such the increasing interest in new media art in Indonesia, so many artists practicing art and tech right now, but there are limited exhibition professionals who specialize in curating media art, because education for media art curation has not been established in Indonesia. So the Art Collapse felt that maybe this is the time for us to contribute something for the media arts scene. So what we did is, so in response to this absence of education for media art curator, we developed a program called Explore New Media Art Incubation, which was originally initiated as a mentorship program for artists, but later on, we invited the young curators, and there were so many young curators who wanted to join, and it has been very well received. And then this is procedures like orientation first, lecture, presentation, curation, exhibition. The main goal is we try to help them to improve their competencies. And then this is some photos during lecture programs. We had like expert from Indonesia, expert from like Transmediale, Germany, Ars Electronica, and also ZKM, and also the art space in Spain. First, I designed with more like a Western speakers, but then later realized that we all invite the Indonesian artists from all different local provinces, and then if they don't understand the local context of media art development, it will be really difficult. So his role, the first man, the Suzut Dartanto, very important media artist and focusing on blockchain, he actually gave a very important insights to everyone in the context of Indonesia. And then some other quick view presentation. These are the mentors on the right hand side. The left one is the participants from all over Indonesia. And then curation, they have to develop in every aspect, not just about the concept developments, but their plan for like publications, writings, and exhibition designs, and also communication strategies. And the first one was held in Kupang, the island called Kupang, very, very eastern part of Indonesia, which has been like appreciated much. And we met the curators and artists there, and the curator, Ivana Tunga, wanted to talk about the one very, very important local musical instrument called sasando. But she said that sasando nowadays, people already forget what it is and how to play. So that was her main, the conceptual objects, and then artists explore their art around the musical instrument and very sensory, interactive art. And then the one curator participant from Solo. Solo is the city above Yogyakarta, which is the cultural center. And Solo is very famous for performing art, but not visual art, according to him. And he thinks that he also wants to help the people more exposed to media art practices. And he said that he also thinks that there is a like very sharp this separation between contemporary art scene and children's. So he thinks that how these art events can also help the children experience. And then the third one, before the last one, the curator from Jakarta, she likes to she used the data, and also she used especially the oral heritage, and then she shared about many mythos, mythologies about around Java, in Java culture and traditions. And then the artists, they talked about many interesting like oral heritage that some people know, but some people never heard about it. So because she think that the media art practice can be a very good way also like preserving our tradition. And the last one that I want to show is the one curators from eastern part of Java. She said that this city, very small city, has been very industrialized. And then she also wants to talk about the woman's role within that shift, industrial shifts. But what she did is she made her project space like a laboratory, everyday laboratory. So there was no like finished work, but people come and then they have to produce all together until the end. So as a conclusion, Indonesian media art has evolved dynamically over the past decades with the dynamic challenge. Of course, we experience many challenges and opportunities. As I said, that there has been very essential contributions by the numerous pioneer artists and our communities in creating alternative infrastructures so that media artists in Indonesia can have more opportunities to showcase. And also like Art Collabs has developed like inclusive learning models that anyone can join and learn and they can try in their own local city. So these have strengthened its ecosystem. So as a result, I believe that the future of Indonesian media art is promising. Thank you very much. And then how can you...
Hello. So first of all, thanks for Kachi and Pat for inviting me for the SATA platform. And today with my presentation, I would like to briefly introduce our organization and also talk about the history of media art in Mongolia and lastly about our latest project in the scene of media art in Mongolia. So our organization is called MCASA. It is short for Mongolian Contemporary Art Supporting Association. And MCASA was formed in 2012 with the aims to promote Mongolian artists internationally and domestically, also to promote contemporary art for the Mongolian public. So this is our timeline of our activities from 2012 to 2020. We used to run the contemporary art gallery named 976 Art Gallery. It was considered the best contemporary art gallery at the time. And since 2015 to 2022, we organized the participation of Mongolia and the Venice Art Biennale 4 times. And we also do international artist residency named Red Corner. And lastly, our latest project is House International Festival of Experimental Music and Visual Art. Okay, so with our 976 Art Gallery, we started in 2012, and we, over this span of 8 years, we did 200 exhibitions, events, performances, and open discussions, and we closed the gallery when the COVID started. So you can see some of the exhibitions from our previous galleries. It's a performance by artist Kanzuk, and this is Muhtitsig's works. It's sculptures from artist Chimitorch. And so when we closed our gallery because of COVID, we decided to continue exhibiting in other venues on a bigger scale. So with gallery, it was really intense. We had to come up with so many exhibitions, like monthly. So now we just do some big projects throughout the year. So this was the first big scale exhibition. It was called Art Week exhibition. We did this one in cooperation with the Ministry of Culture. You can see some more works of the famous contemporary artists in Mongolia. When you look at Mongolian artworks, you can see the traits of, like, you can see strong traits of like shamanism, Buddhism, and also nomadic philosophy, and also Western influence. So in 2015, our organization initiated the first ever participation of Mongolia in the Venice Art Biennale, and back then we fundraised and organized without any help from the government, and subsequently we organized 3 more times. So this is in 2015, it's a performance by artist Tuvshinbold, and this is in 2017. It was a collaborative exhibition of 4 artists, and this is 2019 and 2022. So we actually ended the project of participating in Venice Biennale in 2022 because government actually took interested and decided to continue it as the Ministry of Culture. So in 2024, government for the first time did the participation presenting the country. So we, since 2014, with our organization, we did numbers of labs, experiments, research, and field trips. So you can see some of our sound experiments. We do a lot of collaborations between international artists and Mongolian artists. We do sound and motion performance. We do also research trips on ecological issues and on. This is research trip to Gobi. So one of our later project is Nomadic Red Corner International Artist Residency. It's focused on research trips and community works. So this is the inside of our residency. So international artist gets to spend like 2 weeks in a rural district in a Mongolian gear, and they do research in the surrounding area, and they also exhibit at the end in the area, in the same area. So this is some of the artworks in the rural area. Public performances with the children. And this is in Dirinsom. It's in the, one of the later project was in the countryside. It was in cooperation with Goethe Institute and European Union. All right, so our latest project is House International Festival of Experimental Music and Visual Art. It's a very long name. I'm sorry. I have to say it every time. Like, it's so long, so I'll just refer it to as House Festival. So before speaking about my festival, I would like to just briefly talk about the history of Mongolian media art scene. So in early 2000s, Mongolian artists started experimenting with different methods of contemporary art, like including site-specific installations, performance, land art, mixed media, photography, and some video works. And they used to document their performances and present to the public. So it was still kind of, in terms of media art, it was still very primitive. And only in around 2013, the first like experimental short film festivals and media art festivals have emerged, and that actually encouraged a lot of the next generation of artists. So since 2017, Mongolian artists emerged with major works in international exhibitions. They displayed their works in the festivals such as Documenta, Venice Art Biennale, Today's Art, and there's much more actually, but I just mentioned these examples. So the main reason behind our delay in media art was that, in general, Mongolian art scene, contemporary art scene was very young, because we just started with the collapse of socialist regime in 1990, because before that it was forbidden to practice other methods of art besides classical art, like paintings and sculptures. So just with the collapse of socialism, people really slowly started experimenting, and it like accelerated towards the beginning of 2000s. So even today, lack of training and language barriers, and also access to technological equipments still still is the main problem why it's developing slowly. And while art scene around the world prevalently embracing technological advancements, like some Mongolian artists seem exemplify possibilities of consuming less while staying meaningful, exploring essential questions of our existence. Yeah, so lastly to our festival. Our festival aims to organize exhibitions and performance of prominent international artists who are pushing boundaries of music and visual art using technological methods. The festival also features the best leading contemporary artists of Mongolia. So our festival consists of 3 major exhibitions and 1 concert night. And this was at the concert night, live performance of artist Ben Frost, and live performance by Ryochi Kurokawa, and audio installation exhibition by Ben Frost called Predator Record, and Ryochi Kurokawa's reassembly audiovisual exhibition, and Zag exhibition by Diana Chester. And for us to host exhibition of this scale is still quite challenging, and we do it in hopes to inspire our local artists to try for the next next step, to aim further in technological aspects, and also bring more audience towards the media art scene. Because throughout the years of working in the art scene, I kind of developed passion towards media art specifically. And as I was traveling through museums and big art exhibitions, I always noticed that we never had big proper scale of media exhibition in Mongolia. So that's why the audience don't know what real media exhibition feels like. And so I was very much inspired to bring that feeling back home. So last year I initiated the first edition of the House Festival in Mongolia, and yeah, we hope that it will inspire next generation of artists to aim for bigger scale exhibitions, and also it will draw much more audience towards the major exhibitions in Mongolia. Yeah, so this is our association concept. Yeah, so if you are interested in our association and also our artist residency, you can scan this QR.
Okay, hello everyone. Yes, and then yes, thank you to the two really interesting presentations. Well, first of all, thank you for asking me to participate. I think this event is really really nice, precisely because we have the opportunity to meet people who've been flown in, especially. And so it's really eye-opening to find out about the brief history of technology, media art in Indonesia and in Mongolia. So we have several topics to discuss that we have agreed on, but my background is in music and sound, and I'm an improviser, so I might go off script, and so this is I hope this will be allowed. So I have I guess quite general questions that are applicable to both. I think that so the first topic is technology, which is very much relevant to this whole event. I think that in both your talks, I was struck by how this topic and how media art is developed is really dependent on the local context. So with Indonesia, well, yeah. First, you mentioned shadow puppetry. So obviously, that's there's a tradition of shadow puppetry also in China, and how that might relate to like an alternative kind of discourse and where cinema came from. And then also you mentioned this the first media art performance. So I think you said it was in 1937. And if I understood it correctly. This performance, which involved playing music over telecommunications technology, in order not to transport various instruments that were considered sacred. So this if I've understood it correctly, it seems like a very fascinating example of the history of networked performance. Obviously nowadays we would do it's for the opposite reason, I guess. We have Zoom thanks to COVID, and this is the easy way. But at the time I would have imagined that doing the network performance was the more difficult option. But then I started thinking about whether why a live performance was needed, and then why a recorded version wasn't played back, and then I guess this is to do with the sense of liveness, and then even in 1937 this sense of liveness and presence was acceptable if it was even if it was transmitted along I guess telegraph lines or whatever was used, and so yes, so we have these technologies now, but the origins in your historical examples I thought were quite fascinating, and perhaps informed how technology might be used nowadays in the more recent examples that you mentioned. Okay, and then yes, and then with Bilguun as well. So with with your brief history of media art in Mongolia and contemporary art generally. So, you mentioned the collapse of the socialist regime, and so, these are factors that obviously shape, what happens or what isn't allowed to happen. And so, this kind of accelerated growth or development also, skews, how technologies progress or art forms progress. And I think that's also relevant to here as well. I also feel that in many parts of Asia, there has been this, accelerated growth. So there is this feeling of having to catch up always. And so many countries, such as, maybe we mentioned Korea as well, but also Japan and others, where there was this impetus to really, at least catch up with the West or overtake the West or overtake neighboring countries. So I think that these are the factors that shape what the practice that we see now that you also introduced. So on this topic for technology, so you both mentioned the possibility of cultural exchange through artists and musicians and curators, visiting and participating in festivals, exhibitions, and also workshops, which is something you didn't mention, but it's something we discussed before. So what role do you think technology plays or can play in enabling such possibilities? And then by technology, I mean this in the broadest way possible. So everything from very up-to-date approaches, including AI that others have mentioned, to more DIY approaches that might involve hacking, hardware hacking, and much more affordable technologies.
First of all, thank you so much, Professor Rio, for your very nice summary of our talks and also your feedbacks onto our topics. I really appreciate it. And when it comes to technology, I always think that technology gives us a rooms to make everything possible, which is something that we never thought that it's going to be possible. But eventually it can be possible. That doesn't mean that the possible doesn't mean that something like perfection, but something that make us become more brave to take a risk, and then we can experiment, and then we can also have some outcomes of something unexpected. Workshop, I've been doing a lot of workshops, and also as you saw that our workshops sometimes are happening via Zoom. It is a hands-on workshop, but it happens on Zoom. So our curatorial team has to also study a lot about how we can really create the platform where the participants and the instructors can communicate properly, and also they can also have a different senses when they communicate and working with the tangible materials. One of the examples that we did, and I think that was really fascinating, was a workshop through Zoom about making a survival kit in marks. Right now, all the countries, especially Korea as well, we have some plans to travel to marks, or even think about how to live in marks, and then how to build a new environment just like Earth. So that was quite an interesting topic that has been discussed among the artists and curators. And then we worked together with one of the artist collectives from Yogyakarta. They focus on art and space science. And what we did is, why don't we have a workshop putting the people in their own room for 2 days, isolation? Because if you go to marks, you have to, going to the marks, you have to be in the craft for many like times. So you have to be isolated already. And then when you arrive in marks, as far as I know, there will be like some sort of a small unit where you have to live there, right? Because your outdoor activity is not very favorable. So what we did is, okay, let's put the participants in their own room for 2 days, like 48 hours isolation. And then we don't tell them what we're gonna do, but we just tell them then you have to be prepared. And we ask them to gather the materials that are available at the moment. Whatever materials they can find in their room to develop something that can be utilized when we move to marks. So some idea was like, the one group made a pet, because when we move to marks, maybe we have some mental like problems. We feel maybe very lonely. Socialization is not very easy. So they created a robot pet that can read our emotions, so we can communicate with cats, the robot cats. And then also another idea was many participants were Muslim. So as a Muslim, they have to have a prayer five times a day, and certain time, specific time. So they think that even though we move to Marx, we're still Muslim. So we have to pray. So we need a place to pray. Then we need to know the direction that we have to pray. So that was also their idea for the mosque. How can we build a mosque in Marx? And one more, there were so many great ideas, but another idea that I can give is the one group built the clothes that this group studied a lot about the real like scientific about the temperatures, humidity, gravity, and everything between Earth, moons, and Mars, and everything. So this group built something to wear based on their like knowledge. So after that, of course, it was a hybrid. So workshop happened, their production happened via Zoom, and then we as an organizer, we watched. So Zoom was on 48 hours, but then we don't have to watch all the time, but sometimes we can just turn off and we can go, but sometimes we get in and then we just watch each other. It was very interesting and very experimental way of doing a workshop via Zoom. And of course, we also feel like we miss like tangible like socialization. So we decide to put all their outcomes in an exhibition space. So we celebrate it together. So that is the one thing that I can share about how technology has been made something that appears to be like impossible, but that was actually very possible. And maybe if I'm allowed, maybe I can mention one more thing, is that and also this technology, not the tangible technology, but the logic of technology. I think we as a curator, organizer, our practice is really very often based on the logic of technology. Like as I said that earlier, like group of artists, they build everything from scratch, like infrastructure, strategies, and platforms, everything from scratch. I think this is also based on the logic of DIY. And then we learn and learn and learn. We try and error. It's just like AI, the logic of AI, that we can evolve as much as technology also evolves. So I can see a little like conceptual connection. So first example was more like a tangible examples about how we see the technology play a role in education or workshop, but also the second one was more about how we perceive the technology more conceptually to reflect our own practice.
Okay, thank you.
So in my case, I think not just AI, but even terms like DIY approach of like technological use in art is still quite fresh in Mongolia. So the both would be like a new thing for like Mongolian artists. So I think it's both in terms of both AI and DIY approach in using art, like is important to do like educational workshops in Mongolia to give understanding. And these days I was really curious about the previous experience of Jeong, because she seems like already like did so many of the things that I've been looking forward to, and yes, I will ask more from Jeong on doing educational workshops in these regards.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. I mean, it sounds like technology, yes, can be the topic of whatever projects or art projects or events that you're organizing, as well as the method. So with this 48-hour Zoom sessions, yes, I also have similar experiences where Zoom. Just Zoom, it's so normal now. So I guess this is not high tech, but relating to the previous topic about time, and it seemed like Zoom was about spending time together. So perhaps it's perhaps a little bit like a long durational workshop performance, but also like a way to just spend time across like a distance. So, in relation to technology, so the other part of the question that I had was, whether, certain technologies or the lack of accessibility to certain technologies, perhaps they provide, additional barriers to participating. So, when we were, discussing our topic, you mentioned how, organizing these, your festivals with these, like, quite, well-known artists was rewarding, but also a challenge because of the, I guess, the tech writers, or the technical requirements, and yes, and then so with someone like George Kurokawa, I know he has extremely refined, maybe I don't know, slightly Japanese aesthetics, and but the calls for very high resolution video technology, and he's not the only one. He's not the only Japanese artist who demands this, and so we were talking about whether so what the local community gets from such artists or such works being presented. And also what, maybe, and the fact that perhaps, this shouldn't just be like a one-way process, so it's not just them superstars coming to show work and then going, perhaps, this, it can be something, much more, meaningful. Yes, and so, yes, I wonder what your thoughts are on that, so whether, I guess, whether it creates additional barriers, or whether there are other ways to think about technologies or think about the local context when artists come and present their works, so high-tech works.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I noticed that so for our older generation of artists, they grew up not learning English, so the language barrier was always a thing, and also like a lot of technology was not available actually, so it came really later. And nowadays, like the young generation of artists is much more closer to technology. And as I mentioned before, they haven't seen like a really high-tech major exhibition before. And after they've seen the works of Ryoichi Kurokawa and also Ben Frost, they were actually really curious about how it's operated. So they were also like with the Ben Frost exhibition, it was like a audio exhibition but with time-coded lights. Everything was like time-coded, so they were curious if one program can do that. So it was like, it was Ableton basically, but they were so like a lot of artists, like DJs, sound producers, and many people approached me on like which softwares they were using. Like we are curious to learn. So I think that's really good. So that's like what I wanted, and also for me it was also really new experience. Like I'm a bit more closer to them than them to like technology because I work in the music festival industry at the same time. But working with Ryoji Kurokawa was really next level because he's like kind of semi-perfectionist, and everything was like really on point, very specific demands. So I had to meet that. So I also know what to expect in the future for further exhibitions like this. So it was like quite sweaty times for me last May, and now I know like what to expect in the future. So yeah, I'm like really inspired to actually learn how to operate, like how to connect audiovisual things and also how to operate them.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I mean, I don't know him personally, but I know, you know, yeah, he's probably not the only one that's, you know, a perfectionist. But I heard he's quite relaxed, and you know, he likes to go out drinking, and yeah, so he can have a like like a nice party afterwards.